With the release of FStorm version 1.5.5, one of the changes was bitmap management speedup on the GPU. In everyday use, you may not notice a lot of difference, but he made this optimization at least partially because I approached him with a problem, and in this video I want to tell you all about it and why this update is kind of a big deal. Here I have a scene of mine, and if I go to FStorm settings and environment and I look at this, the HDRI map that I'm lighting the scene with, you can see that it's actually an IFL file. And an IFL file, if you don't know what that is, it is just a text file basically containing the names of multiple files in the same folder. So if you don't have an IFL file, for example, like I can delete that and I can create a new bitmap. If I click the first one here and I click load as sequence, I will get an IFL file automatically. I can choose how many frames I want, and if it's supposed to be skipping any of the frames or any of the images, I don't want that, so I'll just click OK. And what happens now is that this IFL file will apply these HDRIs to my timeline. So when I scrub the timeline, you can't see it here, but when rendering, you can see that it's actually reloading different HDRIs depending on what frame you're on. Here I'm rendering this scene with the older version of FStorm, so prior to 1.5.5, and as you can see when I'm changing the frames, it takes a long time to load the new HDRI, even though it's just a half a megabyte in size or something like that. So the whole point of being able to load HDRI time lapses like this kind of falls apart when it's this slow. This is the new version of FStorm. As you can see, this is the same scene. I'm just playing around a little bit with the composition, but otherwise nothing has changed. And you can see when I'm scrubbing the timeline, it goes more or less in real time. It goes super fast. And by the way, this video is playing in real time, so I have not sped it up or anything like that. This is what I see when I'm working. The optimizations he did to FStorm in this case is just amazing. Now, the whole point of having an HDRI time-lapse scrubbing like this is to be able to force some really nice happy accidents to happen, because normally if you don't do this, if you're lighting with just single HDRI, just normal HDRIs from anywhere, the chances are that you will try maybe 3 or 4 different ones, and then you will settle with one because you just don't want to spend the time on scrubbing through 100 or 1,000 of them. But here you can easily scrub through, in this case, 500 HDRIs to find the optimal perfect lighting for your scene. So just by scrubbing back and forth for half a minute, I've already seen a whole bunch of different light setups that I love and that I would probably not have found if I were to manually change HDRIs back and forth. And that is exactly what I mean by forcing happy accidents to happen. And you don't have to have full day time lapses to use this. You can just make an IFL file of all the HDRIs that you have on your hard drive. They don't have to come from the same place or anything, but it still makes it a lot easier to scrub back and forth in between them and find your favorite. Here's another example when this comes really handy. So just instantly I find this lighting that is really, really nice. So let's continue scrubbing, see what we can find. I mean, I like all of this, but I want to find the best one. And so you can see here, for example, I accidentally find an angle where the plant that is actually outside the screen, but you can see the shadow of the plant on the chair. That looks very, very nice. So even though you can't actually see the plant, it still adds detail to the shot. Moving on, let's see what we can find. Here's another one. Also looking very nice with the shadows from the plant. Again, moving on, and bam, instantly find another one that I really like. You can see in the background though, the background doesn't follow the evening lighting, but that's just because it's a static backframe, so it's not a part of the HDRI. So just ignore that for now. This is just for test. And going back to daytime, you can see I find this one that is casting some really nice shadows from the blinds on the backrest of the armchair, which is kind of emphasizing the shape and the curvature of the backrest, which is really nice from just a visual standpoint and also technical standpoint. Again, all of these alternatives of different very beautiful lightings I would probably never have found if I couldn't scrub the timeline back and forth. So I think this update that Andre did to FStorm is major, and I thank him for it, and I really hope that this video can inspire others to make use of this optimization as well.